This is Gordon, and I'm going to show basically how I personally load up and use and maintain my double barrel kit for burning wood in my shop. This is not for inside of a house. This is for something that's got, you know, ventilation a little bit and space, room, because this is not housed in another chamber that blows just the heat off of it and the rest of it stays cool on the outside. That's not the case with this. This barrel does get hot, and in some cases it can get red hot. Anyway, it's just a barrel kit. You can buy the kit on Amazon or Northern Tools, or there's other sources you can find it. And you have to get a couple of barrels, steel barrels, and install the kit. You got to mark the thing out, drill your holes, and then you got to cut your holes out. And you do the same thing on the top up here where your chimney comes out. And if you got two barrels, you're going to do it where the two barrels come together. There's two collars that go on there. Just do the same thing. Before firing up your stove, you got to make sure your damper is open, and that is this little T-handle on here. If it's facing up and down, it represents a flap that's inside this pipe that is facing up and down, just like the T-handle, so the gases, air can go around both sides of it. And then if you turn this thing this way and close it, well, that closes that flap in there and it blocks the airflow. Oh, there's small holes that it can get around, and some of the smoke will come through that, but not very much. And you only use it closed once you have a good fire going, and you don't want your wood to burn up real fast, so you slow it down. Slow it down a little bit, and then after a little while later, 20 minutes, whatever, you come out and you can actually close that down pretty much, and it'll just cook slowly and your wood won't burn up real fast. The inside, as you can see, is cleaned out and empty right now. This is lined with bricks, just regular brick wall bricks, red bricks. They can be any color, doesn't matter. You don't have to go and buy fire bricks, just regular clay bricks that are in there, or you can use cement blocks or whatever if they're small enough. These are, you know, the standard 2 1/4 inches, whatever they are, tall. I don't know, I'm not a bricklayer. Anyway, the whole bottom is lined with that up to this height on both sides and all the way across. So if you do buy one of these kits, you got to make sure you install this thing high enough to allow clearance for those bricks for this. This is your vent that you leave wide open when your fire is first starting, and then you close that down once your fire is going good. Here's a couple things you're going to need for any wood stove, really, is a little cutting block, a hatchet, a hammer, and I'm just going to make some kindling. This is a big enough piece I can just go on ahead and whack that, but normally I'm not that good with swinging hammers and hatchets. I'll hit myself, so I'm going to use the hammer on top of it. You just chop off a number of thin splintery slices like that. That's not what I'm going to do right now, because I've got plenty of pieces of super lightweight wood that's old and rotten, and this will light up real quick. Bark does not light up real quick. It'll burn once you got a fire going, but it's not good for starting fires. I'm going to load this thing up with some of this super lightweight stuff, and if you don't have anything lightweight like that, you just cut some real thin slices like this, about the same amount that you're going to see me put in here. I'm going to tear up some paper, wrinkle it up so it has room to breathe. If you don't have paper, pieces of cardboard do pretty good. And now I'm going to arrange these pieces in here. And I'm going to stack these kind of a teepee shape on top of this paper. I don't lay them all in there flat. Stack them kind of pointed on top. Both sides I want room for the fire to breathe underneath. I'm going to open this vent right here so I can see daylight through the other side of it. Put a few more pieces of this stuff in there. We'll throw a couple of bigger lightweight ones in there. This one's a little heavier. The lightweight wood burns real fast. The heavy wood takes a long time to get started, but once it does get started, it lasts a long time. So you always start your fire with light wood, and then once the fire's going good, you put some heavy wood on top of it. I've got it ready to light up. I'm going to throw some used motor oil in there. I'm just going to splash some on top of it. You don't have to do this. It will soot up your chimney a little bit, but I've got a pretty good sized chimney and it's not real long, not real tall, so I'm not worried about it. This just helps make sure that the fire's going to get going. Throw a couple, 3 splashes of that in there. And if you don't have any kindling to work with, much kindling or good stuff for starting, you can mix a little bit of gasoline, not very much, maybe 10% in with your motor oil, and throw that in there, and that'll help get the fire going. Of course, you never use pure gasoline or even half gasoline in motor oil. It's just too much gasoline. That's dangerous. But you mix about 10%, maybe 20% with the motor oil and shake it up real good and throw that in there. And that's real good for starting fires. And I'm going to use this self-starting torch. So it'll self-start. We'll let that cook for a little bit, maybe 10-15 minutes with the damper right here left wide open. And then when this barrel feels hot, this one will get hot pretty quick, the one down below, but this upper barrel, when that starts to feel hot, then it's time to throw some more heavy wood in the bottom and then close the damper down. It's only been about a minute or two since I started that fire, and if you look down here, you'll see that thing is really sucking some air in there, and it's starting to burn pretty hot. And I had my hand on top of the barrel, on the upper barrel, and it's already hot enough that it's uncomfortable to hold my hand on it. It's already about 150 degrees up there, maybe more. I think I'm about ready to go on ahead and put some heavier logs in there. Nothing real big yet. And I'm going to give that a few more minutes. When I'm sure that my kindling is not going to burn out before those heavy logs I just put in, before those get started, then I'll go ahead and close the damper and the little vent down there on the bottom. And anything that's going to be stored anywhere close to this thing, you got to make sure that it's not just going to burn up. I got some jacks sitting here on the floor. And I don't want those to get too hot. I do have a piece of sheet metal sitting here against this steel table leg, and that will deflect a lot of the heat. That'll keep most of the heat from being able to radiate onto these jacks. I'm about ready to turn this thing down, I think. I'm going to almost all the way closed. Not quite. And I'll take a hammer and tap on this. That's open, that's closed. Well, it's been a couple of hours. Time to open this thing up here and take a look inside, and we see that the fire's starting to thin out a little bit. So what I'm going to do is drag with my crowbar here, drag some of this wood and this fire back up this way to this end. And then I'm going to load up some more wood, some heavier wood, towards the back. That one didn't go back there because I'm holding the camera with my hand. I'm going to load a few more pieces in there to the back, and then close it up and close that valve up there again, that damper. And we'll come back in a few hours and do it again. Those hot coals that I pulled up here to the front, when that burns out and turns into ash, then we'll just start dipping this little can in there and scooping the ash out and throwing it in that bucket, and then drag the coals in the back up to the front and just keep repeating that cycle. It's time to load some more wood in this stove. I'm going ahead and open up this thing right here. I'm going to get this pan here, and I'm going to scoop some of these ashes out. It's just a demonstration mostly, because it's really not very much ash in here to scoop out. I'm going to take this hook, drag this up here, and start loading some more wood in the back. There's a nice heavy piece. This will burn for a long time. Close it up and close this thing down. And that's the cycle I go through. And next time we should have more ash up here in the front to pull out, but you just keep dragging it up this way, and then when it's burned out, it's just ash right here in the front where you can get to it. and you throw your new wood in the back, and that just keeps the cycle going. Makes it pretty easy to maintain it and keep it clean. Alright, thanks for watching.